Hi, I'm Bob with Quilters Headquarters in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and I am here to explain if you have difficulties on your long arm with thread breakage. And if you watch this video and stuff, at the end of it, you could go down to the bottom there and you can share, and join our YouTube page. And so, what I'm going to do first is the first thing to check, and we're going to kind of go in order on importance on how to go. And so, the first thing that we're going to check is the needle. And there's a lot of times that I've been told, sworn up and down, the needle's incorrectly, and I've driven 200 miles and the needle's not incorrectly. So, check it anyway, even though you think you got it right. And so you look at the needle and you take your thumbnail, and there's a slot right here on the front of that needle. Okay, and so you got to check to make sure that is in the front, not the back. And the back has a scarf, and it's a little indent. So make sure that's in the back. This line is in the front. And double check it with your fingernail to make sure that you're looking at it properly, because long arm needles are round. And so then the next thing you want to do is you want to get your needle magnet. And some people will use a needle and stick a needle in there, and that's not a good idea. It'll put a little chip in it. And so you put your needle magnet on it. Now see, that's not exactly center. And so what we have found on most long arms, you kind of skew that a little bit, and it gives you a straighter stitch, straighter looking stitch, and it works better. Now, every once in a great while, maybe 1 out of every 100 long arms I've run into, you have to go this direction. And excuse my shaking, it's old man stuff. There we go. And so you'll go in that direction. That's not on too many long arms. Most long arms, it's a little slight skewed in that direction. And so not straight on. You don't get as pretty as a stitch that way, and you can't get stitch breakage.
If you don't have a needle magnet, we have them here at Quilters Headquarters.
Yep, and if you hit the little button in the video on more, there'll be a place where you can check to find it. And so now the next step that we're going to go to is you need to check your thread path. And what we mean by that is make sure that you just feel where the holes are and stuff, and see if you feel anything that maybe could be creating your issue, like a little bit of damage, or what would you call it? Burrs. You're looking for a burr. And then also check to make sure you have it properly. Like this here is called the long arm E tension, and this is important. You'll find this on almost all of the long arms on the market. Even our Juki straight stitcher uses this system here. This helps calms down the thread and takes the twist out. And so then you'll go into here and then just double check your path. Make sure you're in your tensioner. But another thing to check is make sure you don't have this, instead of loosening your bobbin tension, people have a tendency to tighten it up here. But then if you get it too tight here, you're going to get thread breakage, especially with certain threads. And so I have found with the Cuniques and with other brands, just 1 or 2 threads sticking out right here is generally the normal tension. If this is in more, then you got this in too much. And so you want to check that. And with the Gamels and the APQSs, I find it's almost flat, almost flush. Level, flush. And so, or maybe 1 thread, but that's about the most with there. And then just check here to make sure that you don't have a burr and then go into here and check to make sure that's not worn and you have some kind of a damage that you've done and things like that. Then the next thing you want to check is your bar height. Okay, so right here, this bar height, and I'm going to walk around to the back. And, this system here, this is a gliding rail, but this is also could be called this is the pickup bar, and this is the idler bar. But if you just have just this bar and you don't have this, then this would be the pickup bar. So you want to make sure either your idler bar or your pickup bar is not too high. Now, if I put my finger under there, I can't get my finger under there, and so that's perfect. If I can get my finger under there, that's too high, and you could get thread breakage if that is too high. And so I get my little finger under there, and it's kind of a little tough. That's perfect. That's not too high, and it's not too low because it's not rubbing on here. But you certainly do not want to have that too high, or you will get thread breakage. Then our next thing that we want to look at is our hopping foot. So we go to our hopping foot, and what you want to do is you want to look at your hopping foot, and you actually kind of adjust it to where it gets to its lowest point right here. And then you kind of raise this up a little right there. And then I want to check the height. Okay? And so what we do is we go to the if you have a quilt that has these high spots, we'll run it over to that high spot. And then what a lot of us do, we'll just use our fingernail and use that as an adjustment. Or you can go to the lower spots and you can put 3 business cards or a credit card under there, and that would be your height. So you don't want it too high. That will create thread breakage. And so then the next thing we want to look at is we ran into this on a brand new, right out of the manufacturing. Drove them crazy. They even flew a guy here, and he spent 3 days, and he was ripping his hair out. And we discovered that fabric quality makes a difference. And so now we're into the fabric quality, and if it's a real cheap fabric, it will actually shear your thread. And it
acts like sandpaper.
Yeah, it acts like sandpaper, and it drove them crazy. They spent a fortune trying to figure that out, and then somebody mentioned it to us. It was the fabric quality, because we bought a cheaper fabric to practice on. And if you slow it way, way down, sometimes that will help, to get through the cheaper fabrics. And so that will make a difference. Then the next thing that's important to do is spurts the thread. And it doesn't matter if the thread's brand new, especially here in our part of the country, in the Midwest, your thread dries out real fast. And so what you want to do is you want to get a spray bottle of some kind, clean it out and fill it up with water. Get some of this right here. Here we go. And then what you do is we put a few drops in here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 drops probably to this full bottle. Some people put this on, the directions tell you to put it on solid, right out of the bottle, because they just want to sell you more. And so just put 10 drops in here, shake it up, and then just get your thread, and just take your thread and put it away from the machine so you don't get it on your machine, and just spray that thread. Then you can get it wet, and it doesn't hurt your machine any. Get it wet, put it on here and sew, and if it's not breaking the threads all of a sudden, and you're doing fine, and then all of a sudden it starts breaking threads again, that means your thread was dried out. You've gone past the treatment of the moisture, and then you have to retreat your thread with this. And you can also find the link to find this if you can't find this locally. And supplies are getting limited now, so we'll try to do our best. And so I'll get out my cheat sheet here. Don't want to leave anything out. Next thing we're going to do is go to the bobbin. So I'm going to raise my needle up. Most people have to walk around to the back, and on some machines have the thing here. And I got monkey arms, so I can do it fine. And so you want to take your bobbin out, and then that little tail's not a good thing.
No, that's going to cause some issues.
That's going to
isn't it?
cause issues. And then make sure you clean this out. You know, make sure that's nice and clean in there and stuff. Then you want to put your bobbin back in. You want to cut that tail. Put your bobbin back in. When you pull it, it's clockwise. I think all the long arms are clockwise.
Yeah.
And then you go like this and like that. And then you can check your tensions. And that, like this. So you set this on your hand, lift it up, and if it pulls it straight up, but yet you can't pull it completely off your hand, that's a perfect tension. Some people use a gauge. We don't use the gauge. We find this works better. And then you adjust your top tension.
Yeah, I like to adjust my bobbin tension and then the top tension.
Then the top tension.
Yep.
And then make sure you got a spring action. Make sure that.
See if I can get that better.
Okay, let's get this up here.
It's too close. There.
Got it? Right there. See that bounce?
Yeah.
Looks fun, huh?
It should bounce a little bit.
And so it should bounce a teeny bit. And then I don't put this back in like this because you can ask for trouble. I put it in, I lift this up. This is generally up on the top with a little twist. And so you can feel it. It falls in. And then if we listen, we might hear it. The little click. And now I know it's in right. And it's not going to cause me issues, and that is improper. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is this is the last thing that you check. You want to go through all of this before this is your last thing that you want to check.
The last resort.
The last resort. So
Where
if
you
there's
going?
no more resorts, so you want to pull your bobbin case out. You want to lower your needle to its lowest position. Okay? Now, we're looking at the needle, and let's see if I can. It's a little blurry. Oh, yeah, oh, yes. Now we got it. See that? See where the eye of, this is a cunique we're looking at. See the eye of the needle? That is sticking through what's called the basket, and it's at its lowest point. And you can see the whole eye.
Does that help?
Oh, right there. Perfect. You can see the whole eye, but nothing above that eye. I mean, it's just like the very top of the eye is kind of level with the top of that basket. And that is a good adjustment for this machine. Now with Gamble and other ones, it's a half an eye, but you can look it up. Some is 3/4 eye, and on the Cunique, it runs between 3/4 and a full eye. This one seems to work well with the full eye. So I'm going to hand the camera back to my camera lady, partner in life, best friend, Lori.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Telling all our secrets now.
And so one of the ways that you adjust it is when that needle is at its lowest point on most models, there's a hole right here. You take a flashlight, look in there, and you can see where you can just slightly loosen it, and you can move your needle bar up and down. Make sure you don't twist it left and right. Just keep this straight. You can move your needle bar up and down to get that needle bar height. That's the last thing that you want to check after you've gone through everything. And then you can just tighten this back up again. And almost most models, it's all right here. There's a few older ones, it's a hole in the front. But most of them are right there. And some use a straight edge, and some use a Allen wrench. You'll see when you look inside of there and how to do it. It's pretty easy to do. And it'll save you a service call. And let's see. Anything else?
I think we cut. Oh, you didn't show them how to clean out the bobbin case. Okay,
There
so
we go.
you're looking at the camera, or you're looking at the bobbin?
We're looking at you. Hey, there's the smile.
Stop
Okay.
that. Okay, so we're gonna look at the bobbin case. Sometimes we'll get lint right in this area here.
Oh, yes.
So I take a long pin, and I put it right. There's a little gap right there.
Uh-huh.
I stick the pin in there.
Uh-huh.
Let's see if I can do it.
And then what?
And then you just scrape it through, and sometimes you'll get a great big ball of lint out of there.
Wow.
So that's another thing you need to check.
Ah, very good.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome.
All right, I think that's it. The only other thing that I might mention is some long arms take an MR needle,
Ah,
and some long arms take an R needle.
yes.
And so you need to look in your manual and choose or decide which needle yours takes, an M or an MR. So that's all we have. If you have any questions, you can contact us at quiltersheadquarters.com. And if you need to buy some needle magnets, you can get those there too. Please like our YouTube channel and subscribe. That would help us out greatly. And stay safe, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.